everyone to another EOS Talk Live. Today is Saturday, April 21st, 2018, and it is 8 p.m. Eastern. We join every week to discuss the various things that are going on in the EOS ecosystem. And we join together to not only show a suite of projects that we're working on to improve the ecosystem and help the community using this blockchain technology that we have presently, but also to run community-based initiatives to give you the opportunity to understand, not only by going out and reading about it and hearing other people talk about it, but actually experiencing the power of this blockchain technology. And we do this by utilizing cross-chain tokens that started out in the Bitshares ecosystem that Dan Larimer created along with myself and a group of community members who founded it in the very earliest days of blockchain beyond Bitcoin. And what we do is we leverage these tokens to create cross-chain synergy in the world's fastest blockchain-based DACs that offers market-pegged assets, very quick, under 3-second transaction times, generally 1.5-second transaction times, and it is the longest chain in the world. So you can actually trade everything directly on a DEX that is blockchain based, and you, unlike most centralized exchanges, have proof of your own ownership. So you cannot be Mt. Goxed, you cannot be having any of those issues. But we took it another level, and we started creating cross-chain tokens that bring value to the ecosystem, like Beyond Bits, Whale Shares, and EOS Bits. And we like to reward these tokens to all the people who are in this ecosystem who join up and help us out by helping us to not only talk about this stuff, but promote it. And to bring on guest speakers, we offer them some tokens in EOS Bits if they make themselves a Bitshares wallet and give us their address. So with that said, tonight we're going to start off, as we always do, talking a little bit about EOS Price, Blocktivity.info, just giving everybody the basics for the newbies. And then we're going to explain a little bit about why we're doing the change in format from previous, where we're opening it up a little bit more to be community related. So this is going to be discussing how the RSVP post works and why you should be posting there. We're also going to go into the community initiatives, and I'll let Steam Power Picks talk about those as he helps us to organize and run those. EOSindex.io, we will talk a little bit about that. We will also talk a little bit about the update on Medium that EOS.io or EOSIO provided this week. And we will end today with a discussion around Dan Larimer's talk at Virginia Tech. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started by going into the EOS price and talking a little bit about that. Up against most cryptocurrencies, EOS recently surpassed Cardano and is now kind of battling in the market cap area of Litecoin, which is really a pretty powerful thing to see in a largely down market. It seems like Bitcoin has recovered to a little bit of a degree. Maybe it's just bouncing off the bottom and it's going to revisit, but we have seen it hit twice the bottom. So EOS is doing quite well during this stage and seems to be climbing actually against most of the cryptos. Which looks like a pretty good sign to me. I'm not obviously going to tell people how to trade. I hold my tokens and I don't really do a whole lot with them other than try to build value outside and bring more value into them. However, I will say that right now it is sitting at around $11 and the support is around $11 and the support that it needs to break will probably be around $12. So look for it to break the $12 support, and if it does, then you're probably going to see see it move up another dollar. It could quite possibly go much higher, though, as it seems like there are a lot of things that are going on that are even surprising me with EOS. And it's a good surprise, I won't lie, but it's also something that I did not expect things to come as quickly as they are. And it seems like the updates that they're providing and the various things that they're doing, they're on schedule and actually ahead of schedule. We've seen them be ahead of schedule on other things, but I thought that there would be a little bit of feature creep. Maybe that would hold us back. I have been wrong on that, everybody. It looks like EOS is slamming into things like a train steam engine, and it's going through any barriers and getting all of the things that it said done on its roadmap. So with that said, let's go ahead really quickly into Blocktivity.info. Just to give you guys, once again, a reminder here. As you can see, Steem and BTS are both at the top with Ethereum and BTC below them even. Bitshares is the longest chain in the world, very well distributed basically in a very similar way to how EOS is being distributed. And it's the longest chain in the world, but it's also one of the fastest chains in the world, coupled right here with Steem, both of which are at the top of the list. Steem, obviously with upvoting, is a little bit easier to go into everybody's lives and to be something that they pick up and use. Not everybody day trades. So I will say that it's stunning to see that Steem reaches 1.6 million transactions per day average. And it's quite amazing to see also, though, that both of these chains are less than 1% of the blockchain that they're using, actually well less than 1% of the blockchain. But if you look at here at Blocktivity.info, this is the place that I always urge people to go and show people who are talking about the market caps of coins to say, okay, look, all of these coins are the top transactions and out of all the cryptocurrencies that are available. So when you look at this and you see that very few of them, even like you can pretty much add up all the ones Ethereum, Bitcoin, and below, and still be around the same amount of transactions that BTS and Steem both do. And these are the top cryptocurrencies in the world on CoinMarketCap, everyone. So if you want to kind of jar people into a reality check without frustrating them or upsetting them, just send them to Blocktivity.info. This is one of your primary tools to show people that this technology is no joke. Moving on, we're going to just really quickly, I want to discuss how the RSVP posts work. We started out doing these where we would have it a little bit more closed because we weren't sure exactly how the community would be when we first started out with EOS. But it seems like the community has been very open, very responsible, very willing to discuss things in a way that's not scammy and promoting scams. It seems like a very mature audience who is into EOS, which I think is absolutely wonderful, and it helps us to be able to open up our agenda so we can start rewarding people who will actually be participating in these by actually RSVPing to talk about specific things in EOS or to talk about their own projects in EOS. And I will be rewarding EOS bits and Beyond bits to some of the people who bring up things that are absolutely wonderful in here. We already do something very similar for Bitshares, so I expect that this is going to take a little bit of time for people to understand, but it's important that we do go over it and look at it and let everybody know that this is the route that we're going to start taking. So if you RSVP in this thread and you provide information that we have asked you to provide based on the template that we've provided, and give us the information on, you know, your contact information, the link to your post, these things, if you offer that up, we will reward you to join up and talk about what you want to talk about. And this could also be something like, let's say it isn't politically correct. Maybe there's a block producer candidate that you've seen doing something that might be something that is amazing, or maybe it's something that isn't amazing. and you think that we should talk about how to fix these problems that we might see. Even if you think it's something that might be unpopular, this is a place where we would like to discuss these things. Obviously, we don't want it to become troll fests or FUD, but we do want to discuss the things that are valuable to the ecosystem. And that sometimes also means that we look at anything else that's going on that might not necessarily be what we would want to see, right? Obviously, this technology is going to need us to consider this stuff and consider and talk deeply about it to be able to really move forward and benefit everybody who's using it. We want to use this technology responsibly. So we like to keep it open for all of you to participate. And we also like to make it so it's not pay to play. Pay to play has been something that is a very difficult thing for me because we're trying to change the paradigm, which to me means that we have to change some of the ways that we do things. And now that we have technology like we have, and I've been blessed with the resources I've been blessed with, I like to leverage them to reward you guys to participate as a community and bring value to these discussions. So make sure that you RSVP here. If you have something that you think is important, or if you have somebody that you think needs to join up and tell everybody what they're doing because they deserve to be recognized, let them know to post on these RSVP threads. And we will always have them on EOSTalk.io. You can always join up and check it out. And we will be posting there every week for these hangouts. So just to keep everybody informed on that and to remind you, these EOSTalk forums that you will be posting to are based on the blockchain technology. So we have all this stuff right here. You can use it today as you're preparing for everything EOS style, and we're going to move forward with that. So with that said, community initiatives. This is the point in time in our EOS talk where I open it up for Steem Power Picks to give some of the updates on the contests that we are running that are backed and powered by the tokens that we have created called Beyond Bits, EOS Bits, and Whale Shares.
Yeah, absolutely. This week, we are kind of wrapping up some of the initiatives that we had running. The first thing that came to a conclusion this week we had talked about the previous time was our Bitshares Talk logo design contest. And this week, the community, we had the vote last week that we talked about where people were able to kind of give their feedback on the top 5 entries. And we have come to our winner, and pretty cool logo. You'll actually see that now up on BitsharesTalk.io, or the beta build that's running, and in some of the other initiatives that we're doing, also on the Telegram and stuff. So the logo is actually being used now. And this was by FURQAN19. So I think it's Furquan19 was the winner. And, you know, it's great. I mean, everything about it's great. We had a lot of feedback on it too, people liking it. It has that sense of connectivity that we're looking for, you know, community connectivity, networking and stuff, which goes in line with some of the built-in DEX stuff that's going to be happening on the Whale Shares and BitsharesTalk.io platforms. So that was just something that really wasn't a contest this week, but that's kind of a wrapping up and just a winner announcement. And the other thing that we have running right now, which we don't often talk too much about here on the EOS talk shows, is Project Milkbox. Let me just quickly update that link in here for everybody because I think I gave the wrong one before. And this week for the Project Milkbox, what they're looking to do is they're trying to promote their psychology and cryptocurrency forums over on their Discord. So the tokens for tweet challenge, again, is not something we need any kind of artistic or video editing kind of skills. It's just if you have a Twitter account, copy and paste the pre-formatted text that they have and the image, which is right there in the post, and tweet it off on Twitter, and then you can earn milk tokens for doing that. So like I said, we always have these tokens for tweets mixed in with our challenges, so we kind of have a fair mix of things. If you have the design skills, you help us out. If not, you help us out by sharing what's going on in the community, our contests and challenges. And then just so everyone knows, that's really all we have for active stuff right now, but Monday we're going to get the ball rolling with some interesting stuff. We're going to have a new remember last week we had EOSIO, IRYO. EOSIO was that's the healthcare blockchain that's happening on EOSIO. We're going to be doing a community challenge for them, probably a meme challenge or contest for that. We'll be announcing the winners for our Bitshares meme contest as well on Monday. And we also have another community challenge coming up that I won't get into too much now. It's kind of in the works over the weekend, but that will be going up on Monday as well. So that's really what we have going on. So I'll pass it back to Fuzz.
Thank you much, man. And just to make it clear to everybody, if you have, we have rules with the tokens for tweets, and you have to have at least 100 followers to earn a bunch of tokens. You earn a token based on how many followers you're tweeting to. And of course that's capped, but a lot of people will message me and say, well, I cannot do that because I don't have 100 followers. But I assure you, if you were to go onto these tokens for tweets and ask people to follow you and participate as you participate, they would follow you. And as you continue participating, you'll have more people following you. So the more you do this, the more followers you get, the more you follow people who are helping and repeat and share their content that they're posting too, the more your network is going to develop and the more you're going to be able to leverage that. And we're just showing you guys some of the things that we can do as we're preparing some tools that will make things like this a lot easier. But we are showing you guys right now how we do this stuff and how to do this stuff and some of the tools that we already have available. So I urge you all to try to leverage and participate in these things, even if at first you don't feel like you're getting rewarded, because there's a lot of rewards that come from this stuff that aren't exactly always visible on the surface. And sometimes it takes a little bit of stubbornness and persistence in doing things like this, and it always ends up helping you. So with that said, thank you, SPP, for helping to organize and run all those things, because obviously it would be, it's one of those things that this is all a team effort, and we leverage the community to do a lot of the artwork, to do all the amazing things that we're doing. But it also takes people to help with organizing all those efforts. So Thank you very much for participating and helping that be possible.
You're welcome. Like you said, I mean, it is helping build networks. Even myself, like I never used Facebook or Twitter myself. So just as we started doing these tokens for tweet challenges a couple months ago, I mean, I made a Twitter account and magically I now have people following me. They're finding the tags, they're finding the posts. So, networks are being built and people are following me on Twitter, over on YouTube. And like you said, you build it and from there it branches out. So, every effort counts,
Yep. And even if you're not a big fan of Twitter and things like that, like, I urge everybody to leverage the tools that we have available. I went through a phase where I never used Facebook or Twitter because of all the stuff that was going on. And then I've learned a little bit more. And I think that what it comes down to is ultimately this is why we made NASDAQs, is rather than completely turning away from something because it downvotes or something, make it compete, make other things compete, leverage it for your own uses. You don't have to agree with the way that a platform is run to leverage it to gain traction within a community. And as a matter of fact, if you have problems with Zuckerberg and people like that, those communities are probably among the first people that we should be trying to also show that we have a better way. So I appreciate you guys, because you don't necessarily always recognize it, but you're doing multiple valuable things at once with this. So thank you very much for being part of this, everybody who does support these projects. And you have earned every token that you've received. So thank you for earning them. Now, with that said, let's really quickly go into just looking over EOS Index tonight. We're not going to have a guest speaker, so we're going to be talking about some of the tools and some of the things that are going on in the ecosystem as far as things that you can check in on. And as you can see in here, we have the EOSindex.io. When you go into EOS Index, it's a directory of projects, and you can go in and you can actually filter it based on a few different things like latest, featured, all. You can come down and see like when, actually filter it based on how many views, likes, comments, and the ratings. and you can actually go and look at all the various projects that are on here. It's a pretty cool thing that they've got going on. This is a good place to see where various projects are being born on EOS and to learn a little bit about their founders and what they're doing. It's a pretty powerful place, I think, for us to start when we're going and looking at some of these places and some of these projects. Kind of related to that, and I think that you're going to start seeing EOS Index start filling up as we have, when you look here at the Medium post, if you guys can pull up the Medium post. The registration and community voting are now live, so you can, and you can sign up for the hackathon at EOS. For the EOS Hackathon #1 in Hong Kong, or submit a pitch to win a trip for your team. So you can actually set yourself up to potentially go over here for the hackathon. It is EOS Global, which is the VC, one of the VCs that's working with Block.one. They're hosting this, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago when they announced it. But what they're essentially doing is they have a fund that they're putting together, and they're going to start rewarding, I believe it's 1.5 million. Yeah, it's 1.5 million that they're going to be rewarding to various projects and giveaways and all these different things that they're going to be working on. So they have a lot of funding that is going to really just going to be for rewarding the people who participate in the hackathon. And the hackathon itself means that they are ready to start building things. They're going to be ready to start building them very shortly after the June 4th launch. So I just want to let everybody know, whenever you have these hackathons, you're going to see a lot of cool things being born. And those hackathons are going to build toolkits that are going to be available to all these different people. So if you're a coder and you're not participating, at least keep your eye on it, because there might be snippets of code that you can use in your own projects, or things that that you might learn from the different projects that are built at this hackathon. So just something to keep in mind as we move forward with this. Obviously, there are going to be DApps and DACs that are going to be share dropped over time. One thing that I will urge everybody to do whenever you're looking at share drops as we move forward, there was a the EOS DAC had something that we'll just really quickly just gloss over and say it wasn't something that EOS DAC themselves did, but we do live in an area where people might pay quite a bit of money for, say, a video that tells you to go give them your private key on a certain contract and try to take your EOS. So be very careful with which airdrops you are participating in. Make sure that those airdrops do not require your keys. If it's not necessarily worth it, if the token that you are trading in your keys for end up being something less than the value of EOS and you giving your wallet away anyway, you can lose everything here. You can lose all of your EOS, all of your tokens, and you never know. EOS DAC obviously doesn't seem like that's the problem with them, but there were people who did try to scam people using the EOS DAC name. EOSTalk DAC community, I feel like they did pretty good job of reaching out to the various places where these scams were put up. But Block.one will have their own ways of doing share drops, or airdrops rather, as they call them in Bitcoin. They'll have ways of doing these airdrops that will not require your keys to be given to people. So just another thing to really look out for, to keep your EOS safe and to get in on the best tokens that will exist. Okay, so with that said, does anybody have anything that they would like to say about EOS Index?
No, I just think it's a really good service. We've watched this actually grow over the last month or so with some of the DACs and DApps being added to it. You'll see a lot of them that we've actually had here on EOS Talk on there too, like EOS Cafe, and of course EOSIO we had last week. So a lot of them are going to be on here too. But as they're being built, this is just a great resource. Come in, see who's out there, see who's developing and for what industry, because even people talk about what's going on with clones of, say, Steem, and what was possible to be built on the graphene-based chains. Having a 3-second block time. What industries are these good for? We have Smoke Network, we have whale shares, all these different things coming out. But people always wonder, what is EOS going to be good for? And now we'll see just by going through over here on EOS Index. You have a whole. EOS Pizza, you have ones that are healthcare, you have ones that are finance, insurance things. So you'll go through and you'll find, and there's just such a wide range of projects being developed on EOS, and this, that EOS index really gives you a chance to go through and see what they are.
Yeah, and I'll urge everybody to consider, if you're watching this and you're looking at this site as well, if you're listening to these talks, when we offer these RSVP slots, this is a perfect place to go. If you guys are wanting to have somebody specifically brought on, you can also reach out to us and let us know the various communities that you want to see in these hangouts. We want to bring people together to talk about them and to discuss them, and we want to bring them on as community. And somebody said to me, how do we get an official interview? I said, you do it by officially being interviewed by myself and taking some questions and answers from the community. Because rather than do it in a way that closes off the community, we want to keep all of this open. So we urge you guys to kind of participate in that and leverage what we're doing to try to help bring people on that you would like to ask questions to as well, right? This is how we can help the ecosystem in a way that no one else is able to quite do, because we have some of the tools that can actually reward people for their efforts. And we definitely want to reward all of you for these efforts as well. And so how do you guys feel about the updates so far on EOS? Do you guys, does anybody have any thoughts on the matter?
Just okay. Read here. See if
sounds like nobody.
Just reading. Sure. Some people are typing, but yeah, it's like I said. It's just cool to see all the different industries that are popping up. It's from gaming to healthcare to there's a dating one on there. It's really cool.
There's a betting app on there. There's cool. All kinds of stuff on there, and of course, from what I'm hearing, again, EOS is getting ready to be able to run these DApps. So it's pretty much there already. So I'm pretty sure that this site is going to start filling up with a bunch of different DApps. And it's definitely going to be, it's not going to be easy to find all the ones that are the best. So we should be asking them questions and bringing them on to these discussions and reaching out to them and finding out about what they're doing. This is kind of how we create a community that is almost like it's almost like T cells in your body, right? That can find and fight infections. If you can kind of help in the ecosystems to help the ecosystem to modulate and find that homeostasis, right? That regulated environment where everything is stable enough to build in and safe enough to live in and to utilize. That is going to be what forms the foundation for quality DApps to really be building on, because DApps are not going to want to build on a chain if there are a lot of perceived scams there, or perceived projects that aren't well thought out, or any number of things that we are going to see in the EOS ecosystem, not because of faults of people in general in the community, but because there are people out there who are bad actors who have a lot of resources and have skills, but choose to use them for the wrong things. And there also are people who are quite amazing at what they do, but don't get enough coverage or recognition. So what we want to do as a community is we want to form a kind of body that identifies the good and the bad actors and supports the ones that are good actors and tries to kind of counterbalance the ones that become negative influences in the ecosystem itself. So that's kind of the goal. That's kind of the role that we're trying to create here for everybody to participate. And we will reward you in cross-chain tokens for helping with these things. So real quick, I think we're at about the 30-minute mark, and I would like to open up. There is the Virginia Tech speech that Dan Larimer gave just recently. But before we do that, I just want to let everybody know, go out and search YouTube. I'm trying to find it myself. It used to not be very hard to find, but I have not found it today. But it was another speech that Dan gave about Bitshares before Steem even existed. And I would love everybody to see how small the room was at that point, how few people were there at that point, and then look at where we are today, just a few years later, at how many people are in this room. And of course, when we go through this, we're just going to go through the first about 8 minutes, about 9 minutes actually. Just so you guys can kind of get an idea if you haven't already listened to Dan speak, or just so you can kind of keep up with what he's talking about. But we would urge you always to go to the EOS.io YouTube account and actually watch the full thing. So if you guys have nothing else to talk about that you would like to bring up regarding the EOS index or the medium discussion, we can go into that.
Yeah, it's probably good. We should probably play the video and then come back and we'll do our questions and answers with everybody.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. All right, I'd like to thank everyone for coming all the way down here to learn more about blockchain. So today I'm going to talk about how the blockchain is the future of all multi-user applications and how it's going to impact every area of our life and why it's relevant to everyone here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, how I got to where I am today. I'm going to explain a little bit about what a blockchain is from a technical level, and then go into real-world use cases, non-token, non-financial use cases of blockchain, and explain how the blockchain can really revolutionize the future of governance and government. So a little bit about my background. I actually graduated from Virginia Tech in 2003 with a degree in computer science. So I worked in this very building a long time ago. My mission for the past decade has been to find free market solutions for securing life, liberty, property, and justice for all. And what I mean by that is non-violent, voluntary solutions for securing the things that matter most to us, our liberties, our freedom, our property rights. And blockchain technology happens to be the most effective tool we've ever created for doing just that. So in 2013, was when I entered the blockchain space full time, and I did my first project. It was Bitshares. This was a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange. I guess if you don't know about blockchain, it actually started in 2008 with Bitcoin. So this is about 5 years after Bitcoin was created. And we were just starting to realize some of the problems that cryptocurrencies have, particularly with trading, all the regulations with exchanges. And I wanted to create a system that would allow you to have digital tokens that were tied to the value of the dollar, gold, or silver. And so that's why I created Bitshares. Then in 2016, I wanted to find a way to apply blockchain technology to a wider audience. Financial applications are quite difficult sell. So created Steemit. Steemit is the first social media platform on a blockchain. But you can sign up for Steemit, you can post, and you can vote, and it works just like Reddit, except the points you earn when you vote are actually cryptocurrency tokens that are worth something. So people are making hundreds or thousands of dollars just for sharing stuff about their life, doing makeup tutorials and the like. And the incentives created by blockchain and the vested interest of all the people in the community has allowed Steemit to grow from nothing to one of the top 1,000 websites in the world in less than 2 years. These two past projects, they currently represent the majority of blockchain activity, and you talk about all the transactions that occur on all the different blockchains, everything from Bitcoin to Ethereum to the hundreds of other blockchains out there. These are the most heavily used blockchains because they're the most accessible blockchains. And they're also the most efficient blockchains, meaning that they're only using a small fraction of their capacity, while some of the earlier ones like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they've maxed out and the fees have started to rise because of the limited supply of capacity. So I've taken the lessons I've learned from Bitshares and Steem, joined Block.one to create EOSIO. This is a general purpose blockchain. It's designed to enable developers like those in this room to more easily build applications on blockchain technology with a particular eye for solving some of the biggest problems in the space, including scalability, which depends upon parallel computation, the ability to do multiple things at the same time and with very low latency. Now, when I get to more about what a blockchain is here in a little bit, you'll understand how difficult this is in blockchains, because the way blockchains work is everyone has to run the same code to come to the same conclusion. And when you have parallel computation, it's not deterministic. Different people are going to get slightly different results if you're not careful. So we'll be releasing version 1.0 of EOSIO this summer. And there's all kinds of information in front of you about that. But today is not so much going to be about the products we're doing, but more just general blockchain understanding and its impact on the world. So what is a blockchain? I try to figure out the most concise way to describe it. And it's a bit much, but I think I've narrowed it down. It's a log of cryptographically signed statements that are processed in an agreed order using deterministic state machine to reach a shared consensus state. Now let me try to break that down for you, because that's a lot. Normal database applications, you log into a server, you ask some PHP code on the back end to modify the database in some way, and the server is the one that authenticates you. It checks your password. But after the database has been modified, no one can prove that the server actually authenticated you versus the admin just logging in and changing the state. Furthermore, there's no guarantee of the order, that things haven't changed. So we take the signed statements, all the actions that the users are creating, and instead of just submitting them to the server, we sign them in the browser and we submit them to the server, which eliminates the need for passwords. Once we have an agreed order, if you process events through a deterministic state machine, you can come to a deterministic conclusion. This conclusion could be something like the balance on your account or the rewards on a social media post. It is this shared consensus that everyone can agree upon and trust. And that's actually the definition of property rights. Who owns what is the shared consensus. And the way we do things today is the government tells us who owns what. If there's a dispute, the government decides. But with the blockchain, we can all verify everyone's signatures. We can all verify that all transfers of title happened according to the deterministic rules, because we can all see the code, we can all run the code, and we can all draw the exact same conclusion. So to come up with another analogy, like how do you know what the agreed order is? How do you know that everyone's going to reach the same state? You can view the blockchain like a radio station. everyone in the world is listening to the radio station, and everyone's recording what's played over the air. At any time, anyone can call into the radio station and say, hey, my name's so-and-so, and I'd like to transfer something to someone else. The radio station defines the order of events. Everyone hears the order of events, and everyone knows exactly who owns what, because there's no dispute about the order it happened in, because the radio station serializes the broadcast. That is what allows you to reach consensus. One of the primary considerations of blockchains is, well, who controls what gets on the air? And the way we solve that is we don't have just one person who controls each time, but every 3 seconds we switch who's receiving the phone calls and deciding what goes on the air. And so the throughput of a blockchain is how many different people can all broadcast their messages through the system, and how many people are listening. If no one has a copy, well, now you're back to where we are today. The only people that have a copy of your banks is the banks, and they can change it. But when everyone has a copy, it's immutable, because someone says, hey, this is the true version, but everyone else can check their own record, or they know somebody who has a different record. And that is what enables very powerful applications. So I'm going to get a little bit technical here, because I know there's a lot of
Okay, I think right there's probably the best place to put it. Let me know when you guys are. Okay, so we're paused. Sorry, there must be a little bit of lag for me. Yep, perfectly done. So, as you can tell with Dan, he's kind of gotten his message pretty concise on this, but they're doing exactly kind of what we're leveraging right now. He's talking about all these things, right, with Bitshares and why he did what he did, the path that he took, the reason why he took that path. And this is none of this is new for those who've been listening to these hangouts that we have. But for those who aren't, who are new, for those who, since the people who are here are going to be sharing the content, when you're a newbie and you're hearing this for the first time because somebody's shared this with you, the reason why Dan has done what he's done is to make it so these blockchains could be self-sustaining DACs. Some people actually wonder if, and I often do sometimes myself, if Dan is actually Satoshi and Bitcoin was his baby and he saw Mt. Gox get hit. If that's the case, I'm not saying that it is the case, but it does. I don't know for sure, and it does make me wonder sometimes, because when Mt. Gox got hit, for those of you who were there back in that time, if I were the person who built this and had that capability, I would be looking at it and saying, my God, Bitcoin needs a decentralized exchange, right? And what happened was a decentralized exchange that came about, and a lot of FUD from miners and people who were part of the maybe part of the Bitcoin maximalist circles. And you find Dan here saying, we're going to have to support this entire ecosystem. We need this to scale. We need it to have names that you send to. We need this to offer all these important things. But we also need it, most importantly, as the flagship DAC, to offer people the ability to trade cryptocurrencies in a way that they can control their funds, right? Where they don't require some trusted authority to oversee it, because they have code that is open source, auditable, and does what it says it will do. And then moved on to Steem, because he knew that in the ecosystem where he was, every time that there was a point in time up until not too long ago, every time you heard Dan Larimer's name, there was the word scam that came next to it. And it was because every time that we were talking about the fastest blockchain in the world and X, Y, and Z, the most decentralized blockchain in the world, there was a lot of pushback from entrenched interests. So Dan was disrupting this technology. And the question is, was he disrupting his own technology? Was Bitcoin his own technology? Regardless of whether it was Dan or not who created Bitcoin, he was definitely disrupting it at this point, right? But he wasn't disrupting it in a way that harmed Bitcoin. He was providing an exchange where it could be exchanged at lightning speed, at lightning speeds, and where the keys were controlled by you, and the power was decentralized into the hands of you as the holders. And then moved on to Steem, where now he was able to get that message out a little bit stronger, right? And as that network started to take hold, what did it do? It accomplished creating a big voice box that nobody could really silence. You guys see how this works? And he's sitting up in front of a bunch of students here. But guys, some of us have been here as a student for a long time watching this. Some of us have been teachers watching this in our own ways. All of you are like that, right? But we've been here for this part, and we've seen where we are now. It's leading to EOS, right? And EOS is essentially, what is EOS? It's the general purpose platform where anything can be built. Anything can have its own DApp that runs on the chain. It can be scalable. It can be parallel processing, multi-threaded, right? You can go and look at Blocktivity and you can see that those transactions per day for one of these chains can be multiple DApps. Each could have this amount of transactions per day. And you can start seeing why people like me are not afraid to say that I don't think that Ethereum is going to last. I hear a lot of people saying that Ethereum is going to be the next is going to continue to be a big thing in the space. I don't see how it can. Go look at Blocktivity and you'll understand it's at 100% network capacity. It's behind on the blocks that it's passing, right? And here we are with EOS launching here very, very dang soon, huh? About 6 weeks out. We talked about we've talked about this stuff, and I was kind of not sure. They've been ahead of the game on a lot of things, but one of the things that I tend to always think is, Dan likes to bring on a lot of features. So I was thinking maybe it'll take longer, but it seems like they have everything locked up. And I'm sitting here stunned tonight as I wait for the hackathon, and am sitting here waiting to see what comes from it. So it's going to be very interesting. So now with that said, what do you guys all think about any of this that we've talked about tonight? Anybody have any thoughts on the matter? See Dan Schaefer saying this talk was a great pick-me-up while all the crypto has been on a lull. It reminded me so much. I'm excited about EOS. Can't wait for the launch. Me either, Dan. Me either, buddy. And Crypto Brad says, yes, this was an awesome lecture. And yes, Dan has been doing these lectures for years. And for so long, some of us have been listening to it. I founded Beyond Bitcoin talking about Beyond Bitcoin. None of the use cases could exist beyond Bitcoin, right? Because all of them were built on crap technologies. So what were we supposed to cover? A bunch of pump and dumps on Ethereum? We couldn't. But now we're going to sit here and watch some amazing technology grow, and Beyond Bitcoin is going to be able to cover it. And we're going to have communities for all of them. All of you guys are going to be able to have your own communities in Beyond Bitcoin and talk about this stuff. And that's where we are today because of this technology. And it's about to blow up. Like you guys are, Paul says, I agree, Dan is Satoshi. I wonder myself sometimes, personally. I won't lie. I don't want to know, though.
Fuzzy is Brock, so maybe.
Yeah, right. Brock and Dan, there you go. And definitely excited about many quality EOS block producers there are as well. Yeah, I'll tell you, Paul, if you guys ever want to, if you guys find people who are doing amazing things and they're trying to become block producers, let them know about us too. I would love to talk to them. I'd love to meet them. I'd love to see what their visions are for the chain. I'd love to hear what they have to say. And I'd also like to give my input on things, term limits on block producers. I just have some thoughts on things, and I hope that we can talk to these block producers about some of this stuff too. But yeah, I love it, man. It's going to be very interesting to see. We already have some really good ones. And when you go look at their websites, they're gorgeous. They represent EOS like it's a gem. You know, they put that gem on the page and you're like, damn, that's a gem of a page with a gem of a logo on it. And this is pretty grassroots, you know? I mean, it doesn't get too much better in my opinion. Gems on gems. Are you looking for the link to Block Producers Telegram? If you guys want to put up the, go to t.me / I believe it's Block Pros. Let me look and double check here.
Yeah, it's going to be EOS Pros.
EOS Pros, thank you. So at EOS Pros, yeah, there you go. Beyond Bitcoin, just typed it in actually in the chat too. So you guys can see it right there. It's t.me / EOS Pro S. So just put that in there. You'll go into the block producer area. Talk to people about these things. I kind of consider the block producers room like the Constitutional Convention, where they're talking about how they're going to, you know, how they're going to build the Constitution, how they're going to do the things that they do. There's also EOS governance, and they talk a lot about the concepts too. But the block producers are really, in my mind, where the rubber meets the road to a large degree. Yeah, you're going to have, yes, they're going to have them separate. The governance is going to, you know, it's going to have ARBs and stuff like that. But block producers are going to be very much at the center of this still. It's going to be, of course, you know, there's going to be separations of power, but block producers are going to be bringing in a lot of voting power just for producing blocks, right? So it's something to really keep in mind when we move forward.
Right, and it's interesting too to see the conversations between those two different telegrams on EOS Govs, where you have a lot of people talking about the core principles, and then you have over in the block producers, like you said, they're the ones that are actually trying to figure out how they're going to turn those core principles into something that actually functions on the chain. So it's interesting to see that conversation. You know, on the two different telegrams, they're separate, but they're related. So, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them. I know the block producer telegram, that one. There are days when the conversation moves at lightning speed in that telegram.
Yeah, I tried not to go and talk too much because we've got so much stuff to do, but there's definitely, you know, a lot to talk about on that front. And actually, that's one of the reasons why we hold these, is because I have a lot of thoughts on it. I think that the community should discuss a lot of this stuff, and you guys should have a low barrier to entry way of doing it. Not everybody can go to a conference. Not everybody can even travel 45 minutes to a meetup that might be not exactly close by, you know. Some people might be lucky enough to have it really close by and have nothing else that they have to do. But if, in the case that you're somebody who doesn't have the ability to always travel, we like to offer these as a kind of a grassroots community effort where we can discuss these things, because it's very important that as holders yourselves, that you recognize that this is power that you have in the ecosystem. This is the first blockchain that's going to give you power in the ecosystem based on the tokens you hold. Right? So you're going to start needing to collectively work together to try to find groups that agree with you and have resources and voting power. You're going to have to find people who are philosophically aligned with you. You're going to have to understand where you are philosophically aligned. And the best way of doing this stuff is discussing it, talking about it, and really hashing things out and acting and experiencing and continuing to iterate as we build up an archive of experience that we can all draw from and connections that we can all leverage to help get where we want to go with this technology. Because this technology did start out for a reason, right? And it's not just to give us all Lambos, hookers, and cocaine and boats, right? And I don't mean to say that too harshly. I tend to not want to say the hookers and cocaine part, but it's true. There's a lot of guys out there who get rich off crypto, I guarantee you, are doing those things. We're here to change the world too, right? Like, you can make money and make a lot of value too, right? And that's what we want to do. And we want to exercise that. We want to experience it, and we want to build a community that wants to experience that with us and participate in it with us. So if you guys are participating in these, I want to thank all of you because that's really where we're going with this. And that's why we have the RSVPs. We want you guys to step up and say, this person is talking about something amazing. I want them to join EOSTalk. Hey, can you join the EOSTalk at this time? Here's the link. Go RSVP. Let them know that I sent you and get rewarded, right? These are the things that we're trying to do. So does anybody have anything that they'd like to bring up who are here tonight? A lot of you guys are silent or you're typing, so that's fine. But if anybody does want to speak up, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, so anyone is over in the Discord with us, the mics are unlocked, so you're welcome to unmute yourself and if you have a question or comment on something.
Steam Power Pick says, unlock your mics, guys. He has unchained your mouths.
It's a free-for-all.
I wouldn't go that far, buddy. Let's not take it free for all, everybody. Let's not have too much fun now.
You brought up the Lambos and the hookers, so, you know.
Oh, somebody was wanting to bring up wax. I almost forgot. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. There are going to be a lot of projects that are going to come out and say, yeah, we're building on EOS software. And it's there for that, right? One of the things that I will always say is that I will support things that share drop on the EOS people, the people who invested in the EOS being built. I don't expect it to be a large share drop. 10% to me is fair. Obviously, they don't have to give anything, but what I would urge everybody to is to consider figuring out where you stand on that and kind of live by that. And a share drop on you is not a bad thing. If somebody's competing, like I always told Dan in the Hangouts, and I think that you guys are going to see this is exactly what he's doing. It's crazy that we're actually talking about this right now, but I said, whenever you look at CoinMarketCap and you see all of the chains, or out of all the chains, like in the top 100, the majority of them are delegated proof of stake chains, is the moment that you know that we've won, right? And the reason I say that is EOS can be many of things, right? Ethereum on steroids, exponential operating system, which is what I coined. And I hope that people would use that one because I think it is the best one. But you can make a bunch of different platforms leveraging this and compete. And I would urge people to consider that if somebody share drops on the community, preferably a large amount, but not necessarily having to be, to support those projects. And if somebody's not willing to do that, to be very cautious to put it down, but also be cautious to support it, because anybody who's going to take the code and not want to give back in any way, shape, or form, the way I look at that is it's kind of like me taking somebody's idea from a book and not citing them, right? And sure, you can do it. Sure, the paper will be good. But were you somebody who was thinking about synergy and helping everybody, or were you somebody who was causing, who didn't really seem to care about any of that? That's kind of where I stand on it. I think you're going to see a lot of different things pop up, but I'm also going to be very skeptical about anything that that wants to clone it but didn't build it itself. You know, so I think that there's plenty of room for many chains that are going to be based on this technology. Wax might be one of them, and it might succeed. But I'm also going to say, who do you trust? Dan's built 2 of these things. He's got people like us who've been here since the beginning supporting it. He's got new brilliant minds coming on and working with EOS, right? There's a lot of things that are going on. They should probably consider supporting those types of projects and supporting us in some way, shape, or form and giving back, I think. So with that said, SPP, you have anything, or Compound, you have anything?
No, I'm good. We covered a lot tonight.
We're good.
As always, and thank you guys. I'm so busy these days. I really don't understand. Like, all of you guys are busy too. So we have this entire group of people who, like, just for all of you guys, so many people behind the scenes work on making these shows possible. There are multiple people live streaming them now. You know, there's a community that supports us, and I appreciate every single one of you guys, because without them, you guys wouldn't, the people who are able to listen to these hangouts wouldn't be able to. So this is a team effort. All of you guys who are busting your butts to help us, you're just going to help yourselves. And we have the history. I'm not going to lie. I'm proud of the history that we have. I've done a lot. My community who helps me has done a lot. And we're going to continue to do a lot. And the more that you guys help us, the more you empower us to empower you guys. So with that said, I'll see you guys next Saturday. And thank you guys to all of you who've made this possible. And sorry for running over again. It's just so easy when we talk about EOS.